something wrong?
They've become. Walk. Run. Evil never dies, but every...
I want to welcome you all to Nathan's House of Mystery and Suspense.
Hey babe, you and me got some serious problems. We gotta work a few things out, you know what I mean?
It's a huge shit sandwich and we're all gonna have to take a bite.
Serious problems.
I've known him all my life, Jana, and he's always gotten everything he's ever wanted.
Serious problems. You know, Jana, I've had just about enough of you butting into other people's business, and I'm gonna put a stop to it. I'm gonna get even with you. Serious problems.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
What'd they want?
Serious problems.
He told us he had a weakness for booze and...
Serious problems.
Did you see the harmonic on the counter? I keep wondering where that came from. I just don't know.
Serious problems.
I've wanted you ever since I first saw you, Leslie.
We gotta work a few things out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's go back to the house and see what the wives are doing, huh? Yeah, what's up?
Why's my ass? All you have to do is keep your feet straight, your knees bent, and let the boat pull you up. Don't try to stand up too soon, okay?
Okay, is that all?
Yeah, your balance will take care of itself once you get up. Good luck, baby.
What's he's gonna kill everybody?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know, that guy was there freaked out and started trying to kill everybody. I don't know, man.
Serious problems.
Hi, this is Hazel Tanksy from Voodoo Massacre, and you are listening to the Hysteria Continues.
And indeed you are. Welcome back to this extra special program for all the wrong reasons.
It's special, all right.
Yes, welcome to finally, after many months, perhaps years of threatening, it is Nathan's double bill of the two epic 80s slashers that will strike fear into anyone who's seen them, Blood Lake and Terror at Tenkiller. And for this momentous occasion, which we're going to be getting commemorative cups and plates made, so do keep an eye on the website to check those out. We've invited Johnny back to share our pain, our ecstasy. Johnny from the Kruger Nation podcast. Thank you for joining us, Johnny. Are you as excited as we all are?
Thank you. Actually, I'm always excited to be on the show. I feel like today, though, I may have done something to wrong you guys, and I feel like these movies may have been my punishment for something.
Well, it remains to be seen. We're all keeping an open mind at the moment because Nathan has, in the past, turned a few of us. Haven't you, Nathan? With your choices. So, Nathan, as it is you're doing, this is you started this, you put this together, you created this kind of cosmic collision of the two big hitters from the 80s. Could you, how are you doing? And are you excited to be covering these two movies?
I'm very excited. And, I was thinking, I did take a lot of flack for picking Rabid Grannies for not picking a slasher, but none of you guys can say I didn't pick slasher movies this time around.
Well,
because I did.
Well, yes, okay.
Calling them movies is debatable.
Calling them movies is debatable. Yeah. But, Erik, how are you doing?
I've got serious problems.
What about you, Joseph? How are you doing?
We got to work a few things out, you know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. And I think my thoughts are probably summed up by this beautiful piece of dialogue from Terror at Tenkiller.
Okay, but I'm sure not looking forward to this.
So but before all is revealed and we take that trip to the double-headed lake for those epic slasher movies, we're not going to have a Algonquin round table or whatever I usually say it is, because we're doing a double bill this time, so we're going to have an awful lot to get our lips around. So we're just going to press ahead, but we are going to talk a little bit about recently seen. So, Johnny, as you're our extra special guest, what have you been watching?
One of the only things I've watched recently is a movie by the guy who did The Town of the Dreaded Sundown called The Evictors from the 70s.
Funny enough, I watched that last night.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did, funny enough.
What'd you think about it?
I liked it. It was, well, you tell me what you thought about it first, and I'll chip in.
Honestly, I thought the movie, like the acting and cinematography and stuff, was really great. But overall, I felt like it would have been a really good short story because it seemed kind of like drone on in parts.
Yeah.
But overall, I liked it.
Okay, because Erik, I know you picked that up recently. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's on the Town That Dreaded Sundown Blu-ray, but I haven't got around to watching it yet. But I'd never even heard of it, to be honest.
It's a film that because I'd heard that it kind of skirted around the slasher movie, a little bit. Sort of Nathan and Joseph, have you ever caught up the Evictors?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
It's all right. I think I agree with Johnny. It would have made a better short story than it would have, a feature-length film.
Yeah, it's an interesting film because it's got Jessica Harper in it from Suspiria, in one of her only other horror roles, and it's from the guy who did the original The Town That Dread Sundown, and it's set in the 1940s, so it's a kind of period piece, but it's more of a mood piece, really, isn't it, than a psycho shocker? Although it was made in 1979, and there's a few kind of slasher movie tropes in there, like POV and things like that. It's not. It's almost more of a throwback to those sort of early 70s, late 60s, or kind of those kind of gothic melodramas. Is it Poor Dead? No, was it Poor Dead Delilah? Films like that, where it's kind of a bit more of a Southern Gothic rather than a full-on slasher movie. Although the killer, I thought, was quite creepy in the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. One thing that was like weird to me in the movie is I guess I've never really compared Jessica Harper and Michael Parks in age because it was weird seeing them as a couple. I always thought of him as being like significantly older than her.
Yeah, well, I was surprised because I was watching it and I thought I recognised him, and then I realised he was in the Kill Bill movies, wasn't he? And also in Quentin Tarantino's
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh,
he's in the Grindhouse movies too.
Yes, yeah. So I didn't. Yeah, it's funny to see him younger because he's quite a handsome man, wasn't he?
Yeah, totally different looking.
Yeah.
He's kind of rough now. We met him last year, and he seemed like he was not doing so well.
Oh, that's a shame. But it's worth a watch. I did think about including it on Hysteria Lives as a review, but I think it's a bit borderline. Considering it came out the year after Halloween, it's much more. It's a film that's looking backwards, even though it's set in the 1940s, so it would do. But actually, story wise and the way it's put together is more like The Town That Dreaded Sundown than, say, it's not really ripping off Halloween in any major way. So it was a borderline, but it was. I'm glad I've finally seen it. So
I had been sitting on it for a while, and I just kind of saw. I think it was because I did the Town That Dreaded Sundown retrospective, and I was like, I might as well watch it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. Anything else, Johnny?
No, this week's been hectic. That's been pretty much it.
Okay. Right. Well, how about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of this week. First, I saw Girl House, which is basically this house full of females who do like internet porn, and they kind of get beset by this stalker guy who I think Erik might find attractive. It's pretty fun. I mean, it's dumber than a sack of hammers. I mean, it's the type of movie where people hack into computers by fumbling around with a bunch of wires. But I won't really fault it for that because it's a lot of fun. It's not overly long. It gets really gory, especially towards the end. Lots of good chase and stalking scenes. Just a typical slasher film. Just eat some popcorn, have a soda, and just kick back and have fun. And for people like Johnny and I, it's kind of loaded with titties. So there you go.
Well, it all sounds good apart from the soda.
And the titties.
You don't like soda?
Well, only if there's some whiskey in there as well.
Oh, well, of course.
Of course.
But it's check it out. It's really fun. I mean, it's dumb but fun. I think you might have a good time with it.
Okay. Has anyone else caught up with Girl House?
No, but it sounds like Citizen Kane in comparison to Nathan's House of Pain.
I recommended Girl House to you guys. You guys got to watch it. You have to.
Okay.
It's
I don't have to do anything you say, especially after this week.
See, the problem though is that Nathan recommended this movie to me, so I was hesitant, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Okay, well, good stuff. Well, thank you, Joseph. Anything? Well, actually, Nathan, do you want to say how you found Girl House?
I couldn't sleep because I was sick, as you guys know. So I was just skimming movies that were online, and I saw it, and I thought, okay, well, I'll watch this one. And I don't know, it was one of those blind watches that was a really pleasant surprise. And like Joseph said, it's the last like 40 minutes of the movie is just nonstop like chase scenes and deaths, and the killer's getup is actually really creepy looking. He kind of reminded me of Leatherface, except he had a variety of weapons instead of like a chainsaw. And I really, really thought the final girl was actually really good. Like at the end, you know, she has the classic, you know, final chase scene that could be lifted right out of any 80s slasher movie. So good times.
Okay, all right, good stuff. And okay, well, thank you, Joseph. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, about 3 more. I saw this movie called Honeymoon, which is basically this couple, you know, for their honeymoon, they go off to a cabin in the woods to kind of, you know, kick back for their honeymoon. And the first 20 minutes of this movie, it's kind of hard to get through because this couple is so in love with one another that they become annoying. But, you know, not long after they arrive, some really weird shit starts happening. She and her new husband kind of run into this ex-boyfriend of hers, and he's acting kind of like strange, and his new wife is acting a little strange, and then other strange things start happening. And then I'm not really going to spoil what's going on, but it gets really kind of, you know, allegorical, which is kind of fun. I guess maybe not for men, but for women, well, I guess it really wouldn't be fun for women either. But anyway, the kind of the allegory behind it is kind of interesting, and it gets, you know, pretty graphic and kind of hard to watch, especially towards the last 10 or 15 minutes. And it has a really, really killer ending. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but I really enjoyed this one. It's a very, you know, it's a really, I guess you call it a slow burn, but it's one I definitely recommend. Very moody, kind of out there, and the explanation for what's going on is kind of like, you know, been there, done that. But I think they do a good job of, you know, using an old trope and making something memorable out of it. So definitely recommend that if you get a chance to see it.
Excellent. Okay, has anyone else seen Honeymoon?
I haven't checked it out, but I think Patrick covered it on Scream Queens.
I think he did. I think he liked it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
Cool. Okay, that's one to check out. So I think it's got the actors are British, aren't they?
Yeah, and they actually, you know, a lot of people are always talking about how, you know, Americans can't do British accents, and, you know, people from Europe have a hard time doing American accents. But these people, I think they do, you know, flawless American accents, like kind of, you know, like Midwestern, just plain accents. I didn't even know they were British until after I saw the film. I was like, oh wow, that's kind of interesting. They did a really good job.
Cool. Okay. And what's your next one for us, Joseph?
I saw a movie called Starry Eyes, which is basically about this girl who lives in L.A. and she's trying to become a serious actress, and she keeps basically, you know, either she's doing a lot of like crummy indies and not really going anywhere with it, or she'll get a lot of auditions for bigger parts, but, you know, she gets turned down. And in the meantime, she's working like at a burger shack or something like that. And it's another one of those allegorical films, kind of a slow burn until the last 30 minutes. But if I can say anything, I think I like this one even more than Honeymoon. It's extremely disturbing, you know, towards the last 30 minutes, but not in kind of a torture porn type way. It's I'm trying to, you know, skip around without spoiling it, but it's very interesting. The I guess the quote unquote message of the movie is very interesting, and it has a killer synthesizer soundtrack. So, you know, that really caught my attention. It's definitely one to look out for. Probably one of the best I've seen this year so far. So if you get a chance to see Starry Eyes, I say go for it.
Okay, that's another one I've heard about. Is it kind of it's like kind of Cronenberg style?
Yeah, I'd say it's body horror, sort of. Actually, yeah, I'd say it really is body horror. But it also has a little bit of a kind of a slasher aesthetic especially towards the end. That's really all I can say without spoiling it too much. But if not for nothing, see it for the amazing soundtrack, which I loved.
Cool. Okay, that's great. And what was your last one, Joseph?
The last one is a movie that's kind of controversial because everyone's either saying this movie's way overhyped, or they're just saying, "Oh, it's good." But so I didn't really know which side of the fence to jump on until I saw the film. So I went in with very low expectations, and that movie is The Babadook. And I think I know Erik and you, Justin, might have been kind of about it, but I really loved this film. I mean, I really loved it. I think it's the best movie I've seen, aside from The Guest this year. That it's definitely in my top 3 so far. I don't know. I just found it kind of mature. It's really creepy. It's smart. I do agree with a lot of people saying that the two main characters are just kind of vile and disgusting human beings, but that's really kind of the point. I don't know. I was expecting, just to walk away like, well, that really did suck, but it just kind of overwhelmed me by how much it worked for me. So, if you can, get past all the no, it's not good, yes, it is good, and just kind of sit down, you might enjoy it. So, I do recommend The Babadook heavily. Okay,
well, it's always good to get a dissenting voice. I don't think I hated it as much as Erik, but I didn't. I was a bit nonplussed by it. But I think if I rewatched it, I could probably enjoy it more because I think the characters were so shrill.
Yeah,
they got on my nerves.
They were shrill, but I guess there's kind of a point. I think one character is a little more shrill than the other, and I think the other one's kind of becomes shrill by proxy, which is kind of not really fair for that particular character. But it is what it is. It fits in with the story. So.
Okay. Well, who's Patrick? Have you heard? Sorry, Patrick. Okay. Johnny, have you seen Babadook?
No, I haven't had the opportunity yet, but I've been pretty excited about it just because of all the, for me, I've heard a lot of people who, who was it, William Friedkin was raving about it. I think it was him.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he's quoted on one of the releases saying, one of the scariest movies I've seen, blah, 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 blah.
And so stuff like that has me pretty intrigued, but like you said, if I go into it, I'm not going to have my hopes very high.
I think that's the best way to watch those films. I think it's when we went to see It Follows, and people I was with were going, "Oh, this is supposed to be the scariest movie ever," blah blah blah, and it was kind of like I said, you always got to be careful to check your kind of your expectations. Otherwise, it's going to disappoint you, and it did to disappoint them. It didn't disappoint me, but it's the same probably with The Babadook because I thought it was going to be this incredible film, and it wasn't for me. But I think if I watched it again with the expectations now of a film, and I know what it's going to deliver, then I probably would enjoy it a little bit more. But Erik, you really hated it, didn't you?
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, I'm not really kid friendly, so obnoxious kids in movies do churn my stomach. So
yeah, I'm definitely not kid friendly, but. And I do agree with you. There were moments in the film where I was like, please kill this kid. Please kill him. Anyone. I don't care who. Just someone murder this child. But yeah, well, but it does fit with the story. Services. So
in Joseph's defense, I was feeling the same way. Okay, well, I wanted somebody to kill the mother as well, in fairness.
I kind of almost like that during Bloody Birthday. I always want those kids to die so bad.
Oh, yeah.
I actually kind of felt bad for the mother. I mean, she's kind of shrill, but she just, she becomes that way because of that kid and because of what's going on. So I cut her a little bit of slack, but that kid, my God, what an annoying little shit.
That film should be sponsored by Durex.
And there is an annoying little shit coming up later, isn't there?
Oh, there is.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Several annoying little shits.
Yeah. Nathan, not that you're an annoying little shit. I'm talking about the films you picked. But what did you think of The Babadook?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay. So we'll wait for next time when you've had a chance.
Yeah, I will watch it. I'm hoping my recently seen next time can be The Babadook and It Follows.
Okay. Well,
It Follows. I think it's playing at the Chattanooga Film Festival. So if I'm going for anything, it's just going to be that. So
cool. Okay. Well, thank you, Joseph. Erik, how about you?
Okay. Well, I watched Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, which is the 1988 Fred Olin Ray movie, which I'd never seen before. It's part of this slasher movie collection that 88 Films are bringing out on Blu-ray in the UK. And, of course, this is a movie about a cult of chainsaw worshippers, a cop trying to track down a missing teenager who's played by Linnea Quigley, and he becomes embroiled in Gunnar Hansen's evil ancient cult. So I'm not a fan of Fred Olen Ray movies as such, and I'm certainly not a fan of these sort of 80s scream queens with the big boobies like Michelle Bauer. Yes, I know, Michelle Bauer, Linnea Quigley, they don't do anything for me, I'm afraid.
Blasphemer.
as you may have gathered, they don't do anything for me. Now, so this would have been a film I would have bypassed, except for the fact that Justin did a commentary for it. Actually, I think you recorded it the day we finally met in the flesh back in Manchester back in November.
That's true. Yes.
Yes, so that's the reason I picked it up. And surprisingly, I watched it and I was entertained. I don't think it's a classic by any means, but especially looking into the background in the special features, it was shot over 5 days, and it looks remarkably good for a film that was, on such a sparse budget, shot in such quick time. So I have to give him kudos for that. And I was entertained. I mean, it's kind of funny in parts and silly and gory. And of course, good commentary track by you, Justin, as always, I have to say.
Well, thank you.
So, yeah, pleasantly surprised by Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. Didn't think I'd enjoy it at all. But like 75 minutes as well, which is a nice little running time for a film of this ilk. You probably get more out of it if you're into the old boobies. But yeah, I know that, Nathan, you're a fan.
I am. I'm not going to say too much because this may be coming up as a choice of mine very soon.
Okay, well then we won't say too much about it.
All I will say is I love the film, and I love that Linnea Quigley is going to infiltrate a chainsaw cult, but she didn't tell her mom because she was afraid she might get grounded.
Yes. So, Eric, did Gunnar Hansen do anything for you?
Not really, no.
He's all beardy and stuff in there.
He is all beardy and stuff, but I don't know. He just doesn't have that je ne sais quoi that I require.
And he doesn't really do much in that film, does he? He doesn't really do much. He doesn't do much in that film, apart stand around and look sinister for the first, for the 2 hours they obviously had him for.
Yeah.
God damn, Michelle Bauer. Oh.
Yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love Michelle Bauer.
Oh, yeah.
Right, well, I would not for the same reason you guys do. But.
I would love her as well.
Well, before we get too hot and steamy, Eric, what's your? Have you got
the other one I watched is again from 88 Films slasher movie collection, just come out in Blu-ray over here. And surprisingly, I know you're going to gasp when I say this, but I've never seen this movie before. It's the 1980 original version of Mother's Day. Yes, I knew it.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, the reason I steered clear of this, because just reading about it sounded too much like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre type of movie. And as you know, I'm not a huge fan of that type of, that sort of subgenre of slasher movies. So that's why it's taken me so long to catch up with this movie. But I have to say, again, I was pleasantly surprised. I actually really enjoyed the film. You've got two deranged sons and their even more deranged mother who kidnap and torture these three women who are camping out in the woods. Again, it has a slightly jokey edge, but it's certainly much more serious than Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. That wouldn't be difficult. But what I liked about it was the three women at the center of the film are all quite likable and believable, and they're given this kind of interesting backstory. They were all college friends. It builds to this sort of semi-crowd-pleasing finale and also a shock ending that I thought was utterly fantastic, although it is given away in the trailer, which is a bit bizarre. Overall, yeah, really, really impressed with Mother's Day. I'm actually shocked and appalled at myself that, 35 years later, I'm finally seeing it for the first time. But again, it could be one we cover in the future, I'm not sure.
Very possibly, yeah. I haven't seen that film for probably 15, 20 years myself, so I can remember very little about it, apart from I think I was put off by the fact that it was a trauma film, but it wasn't really
I think it was just
film, was it?
Yeah. Well, it's directed by, is it Charles Kaufman, who's Lloyd Kaufman's brother?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I think it was made in 1980, which is before sort of Trauma took off with their sort of sillier, branch of movies like Toxic Avenger and Class of Nukem High and Stuff Stephanie in the Incinerator.
Mm-hmm.
Which is still a great title, but probably not a great movie. Not that I've seen it.
No. Oh my goodness!
What?
Stephanie in the Incinerator.
You love it. I would have thought you probably would, Nathan. So
it's really out there.
Cool. Okay. Right. Well, is that everything, Erik?
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. And who have you not come to? Is it Nathan?
Oh, yes. And I have to say, I love Mother's Day, by the way. Erik's right. Like the three girls, they do a really good job of kind of, each one has a very distinct personality, and they also all kind of they're all fleshed out very well, wouldn't you say, Erik?
I would say, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
And the opening, of course, I'm sure for you, Erik, it wasn't a shock because, you know what the movie's about going into it. But see, I watched it, when I was a lot younger, and the opening with the couple in the car with the mother, and they seem very sinister, and then it kind of like switches up on you. I thought that was really clever.
No, as I was watching that, I was thinking, yeah, this, like, if I hadn't known that she was the mother of Mother's Day, this would have been a big surprise. But I still thought it was very effective.
Yeah. Let's see. For me, I watched Late Phases, which is the newer werewolf movie. It's about these. It's sort of like a retirement community that's being beset by a werewolf. It's got Tina Louise, who played Ginger in Gilligan's Island. It's got Rutanya Alda. And basically this retirement community full of, older people is being stalked by a werewolf. It actually, in all honesty, sounds a lot better than it really is. I didn't dislike it. I did like it, but to me, it was it's what I consider a hard drama movie, because a lot of the movie focuses on the one main guy, and like everybody else at the retirement community is just side characters that you don't really get to know or anything. It's all about the one character. And to me, I think the movie probably would have been better, just in my opinion, if they had made it like an ensemble cast and made it more like the werewolf is attacking these and the old people are banding together to fight against the werewolf. I thought that would have been a lot of fun, because how many movies take place at a retirement community, like horror movies? But instead, it's just, like I said, it all is about this one guy, and his scenes are most of the entire movie. So not bad, not great. It's worth a watch, I'd say.
Because that's the one with it's got Caitlin O'Heaney in it, hasn't it?
Yes, she's in it too.
And Lance Guest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he is too.
Okay. Cool. I've not seen it. I've seen Caitlin on her Facebook page has been talking about it. The werewolf looks a bit like a chihuahua in the photos I've seen, which is slightly off-putting. But
in the movie, the werewolf is it's kind of kept in the dark, I would say. So it doesn't ruin it, I guess, as much as probably seeing bright photos of it.
Yeah. So okay, excellent. Has anyone else seen Late Phases?
No, but after this coming double feature, I might have to join a retirement home.
Yes, I think it's going to do us all in. So, okay. Well, Nathan, is anything else?
I watched Backcountry, which is a newer film. It's about this couple that are going on a camping trip, and the couple themselves. It's interesting because you kind of wonder during the movie because are they really compatible with each other? Because, she hates it, the camping, he loves it. And, it's not annoying where they're bickering with each other or anything like that. It's just, I actually think it's well written, the couple's interaction with each other. But, it's one of those movies where they get lost in the woods and, of course, paranoia sets in and that kind of thing. It's one of those type of films. And then they encounter a very hungry black bear. And, yeah, I knew Erik would love that one. But Erik, it's not the kind of bear you like.
Oh.
It's actually a bear.
Oh, it's not like Ken Foray?
It's actually a big black bear like, Grizzly. From the movie Grizzly.
Erik down. Cue slapping noises.
And you wouldn't want to encounter this bear, Erik.
No.
Erik.
I will say that the effects in this movie are really good. I actually thought that Grant was going to throw up.
What, is that gory?
Yeah, well, there's one gory set piece I would say in the whole movie, and it's jaw dropping in my opinion. I'm like, who did these effects? Can we get them for our next movie?
It's called Backcountry.
Backcountry.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. It's not fantastic or anything, but it's definitely worth checking out.
Cool. Okay. Well, that sounds interesting. So, lots of good recommendations. Is anything else, Nathan?
I think the last thing I saw you're going to bring up, Justin. So,
well, if I go on to that now, because I was going to talk a bit about The Evictors, but obviously talked about that with Johnny earlier. But a film I've just uploaded a review to Hysteria Libs is the 1987 Australian slasher thriller called Coda, which has got a number of different titles. Another one is Symphony of Terror, and I think Deadly Possession.
Symphony of Evil, is it?
Of Evil, sorry, yes, Symphony of Evil. And it's as with many Australian slasher movies, it can be hit or miss. And for every next of kin, you've got a houseboat horror or a day after Halloween. So I wasn't really sure what to make of this, although I'd seen some good reviews online. And this is kind of, you can imagine it's a slasher movie via kind of De Palma style Hitchcock riffing, and it's kind of a fairly simple story about a series of murders at a music college, and a woman's ex-husband is in the frame for the killings, but she tries to clear his name, and then with her new best friends go out sleuthing to try and find out who the real killer is, and basically bite off more than they can chew. And I thought it was a really entertaining film. The killers, it rips off a lot of kind of Halloween and Halloween 2. And also the very ending, which I won't give away, rips off another early 80s slasher movie. But it has a killer all in black with a white kind of sort of wax mask, who does things like hang around jacuzzis and washing lines, just like Michael Myers. But it's also got some great set pieces of be a chase scene around an opera house, things like that. It's obviously not a massive budget film, but it was apparently going to be released to cinema, but didn't for some reason, and went straight to TV and video. So it's very obscure, but it's definitely worth your time if you're in the mood for that kind of film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a real find. It's not perfect. It's the identity of the killer couldn't be more obvious if they had a massive finger above their head pointing to them all the way through the movie. But apart from that, and a few other missteps, it's definitely worthy of your time. But Nathan, so what did you think of Coda?
I really liked it too. I mean, the copy that I had, the quality wasn't the greatest, and the dark scenes are very dark. And I'm sure you probably saw that too. But
yeah,
I love the killer's outfit. I thought it was actually really suitably creepy. Like you, I do wish that the killer wasn't so easy to guess, because it's almost like a neon sign is hanging on this person through the whole movie.
Yeah.
So you both fingered the killer?
We did, yes.
Did you have fish fingers after it?
Oh, Erik.
We will not say, because we are not spoilers.
Erik, get out of the kitchen.
But like Justin said, I could pick out the, I guess, homages to Halloween, we'll say. There's a lot of scenes that reminded me of Halloween 1 and 2. So I could definitely see that. The heroine is not your typical slasher movie heroine. So I like that. And the chase scenes I thought were really well done. There's actually a great scene in the movie where somebody's attacked with a sword, and it's in a dark hallway, and that scene was really, really well done. And of course, the chase scene at the end in the library was it was up there with any of the classic chase scenes. I'd say I liked it that much.
Cool. Okay, and I know, Erik, you've seen it, haven't you?
Yeah, well, the problem for me, as Nathan and yourself saying, the print was so incredibly dark. I was watching it yesterday morning on what was a surprisingly very, very sunny day here in Ireland. So watching it in a brightly lit room was probably not the best conditions. So I can see where you're coming from. It did look really good from what I could make out. I'd like to watch it sort of late at night with, all the lights switched off and maybe try and make out more of what's happening on screen, because when it came to the sort of nighttime scenes or scenes in dimly lit rooms, I could not make out a thing that was going on. All I could see was my own reflection in the television screen.
And that's scary enough.
No, I was thinking, whoa, the lead guy in this movie is hot, and I was like, oh, hang on, it's me.
Okay. What about you, Johnny or Joseph? Any either of you seen Coda?
I haven't checked it out yet, but I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I have a copy under the Deadly Possession title, but I have not watched it yet.
Cool. Okay. Right. Well, I think that's everything else that I've watched so far in the last week or so. So I think it's probably that time.
Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, what?
So how have you guys been? I mean, are you guys doing okay?
Are you trying to put off the inevitable?
Yeah. There's no saving us from the house of pain.
Now, welcome to Nathan's house of pain.
Joseph, are you going to be a butthole or let me drink this weekend?
Yeah, go ahead.
Admittedly, this is like a Sophie's choice. But which one should we go with? Sorry?
I said I'll say.
Yeah. Which one are we going to go with first?
I think we should go with Terror at Tenkiller.
Okay, right. Well, as I say, that's there's no winners in this.
Josh loves Leslie, but Leslie isn't sure of her feelings about him, and that makes Josh very angry. Leslie and her friend Jana take off on a vacation at Lake Tenkiller so that Leslie can have some time alone to sort things out. Strange things start to happen when the girls arrive at their remote cabin by the lake. Leslie gets phone calls from a stranger who will only say that she is beautiful and mine, all mine. Leslie is sure that it's Josh, but this guy isn't joshing. Soon corpses begin turning up near the lake. One by one, the locals disappear, but the horror of these murders does not fully dawn on our heroine until she comes across the mutilated body of Jana at night during a storm, and by that time it may be too late. That was the back of the video box, and I have to say, the whole thing of, but this guy isn't joshing, makes me think that whoever wrote this had a sense of humor.
They would need to have a sense of humor.
Terror at Tenkiller is one that I saw years ago. The box in the video store called out to me because the artwork I think is really good, and I love the tagline, "Getting away for the weekend, just try to get away. Just try." It's very ominous. The acting is probably not the greatest, especially by Josh. I think Joseph put in the intro, "We got serious problems." And his scene earlier when he's attacking Leslie, I guess pulling her arm and things like that, is he has no emotion whatsoever in this whole movie. I mean, everything he says is just kind of this monotone, no matter what. I did like the death scenes. I mean, there's not many of them, but I really liked them when I did see them. Especially the washing the hair in the sink and getting stabbed. I like that one a lot. One thing I have to say is I think it's interesting that the killer at the beginning, I thought this was being set up to be a whodunit the first time I watched it. And it's interesting that about 30 minutes in, the killer kills somebody, and I mean, it just reveals who the killer is. This might be the earliest killer reveal in any slasher movie I've ever seen that started out, potentially as a whodunit. So I thought that made this movie very interesting. And I won't say it's the most entertaining slasher movie out there, but I will say it's not quite as boring as people make it out to be. How dare you all? And it's got a great title, Terror at Tenkiller. I love Jana's story. You guys remember Jana's story earlier, where she says about the Indian maiden. And in one scene, she says that the guy that I guess betrayed them, the Indian maiden came up out of the depths of the lake and pulls him down and drowns him. And she said, my dad told me that story when I was afraid of swimming. And I'm like, that's not really the greatest story to tell. Oh, there's somebody in the lake that pulled somebody down and drowned them.
Maybe
but
he's
here you go,
hoping
go
she would
swimming. Okay, well, since Johnny is our guest, I will start with you.
One thing about this movie, I agree with you completely that the killer reveal it's funny to me just because they set up this thing at the beginning where her boyfriend loves her so much that he's willing to beat the love into her, and they keep getting the phone calls and stuff like that, and they're certain that this guy that's calling him is going to be the ex-boyfriend, but then they take away all the mystery by showing Tor as being the killer. But this movie, I've seen it about 5 times. And I don't know what it was about this time.
What?
But this time it seemed a lot harder to get through, like more of a chore. But I will say this movie has a very strong start. I think the opening kill with the throat being slit is very graphic. It's very dark, and literally dark. But then it's followed by the girl swimming, and then she goes to the shower, and there's some titties. But the thing with that is too, though, why was she wearing underwear in the shower? Anybody notice that?
I did notice that, yeah.
I was like,
save on washing. Maybe there was no washing machine in the cabin.
You could wash your clothes. And
they couldn't afford one in the budget.
That might be the reason that her boyfriend was so angry. It's maybe she should do a little bit more down below washing. Ew. But after that, though, for me, this movie, like almost immediately after that, the strong intro, it turns almost into a Lifetime TV movie. And it kind of carries that same pace throughout the entire movie. And so it's really hard for me to get super excited about it just because there's so much dialogue and bad musical stings and things like that. Like there was one musical sting where it sounded like maybe someone had like a little sound bite of a rattlesnake and they would just play it ever so often. And for me, that was just kind of like, it felt like somebody was leaning on a keyboard.
I think they'd passed out.
But I will say this: the first few times I watched this, I really did enjoy it, and I think that this time around it was just a lot harder for me.
Did you just say the first time you watched it, you really enjoyed it?
When I first watched it, I was way younger because this movie's made in Oklahoma, and I lived there for quite a while, so I saw it was kind of one of those cult things. They're like, "Hey, this movie's made at Lake Tenkiller," and so for kind of like the this is here in our state, but then now I kind of see it as being what it really is. Basically, it basically is like a morality tale with a serial killer.
It's like Tenkiller real, then?
It is, yeah.
All right.
I actually almost went and filmed out there just to do like a location thing, but then I decided that was too far of a drive.
You could have made a sequel.
I could have probably remade it and done a lot better.
You got a 5 in your wallet.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if it's possible.
5 in my wallet.
Yeah.
I would tell you what, if I remade this movie, I would keep the killer's identity a mystery, for sure. And
I agree.
I thought the acting in this was, I watched Blood Lake first, and after seeing that, the acting in this was a big step up.
What?
You didn't think the acting was worse than the other movie?
Well,
I would agree with Johnny on this one.
It is slightly better, but it's not Meryl Streep and Sandra Bullock or something, is it?
I wouldn't say it's a big step up, but I would agree it is, the acting's better in this.
What do you think, Justin? Oh, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say the actor Tor, the guy who played Tor, he's gone on to do like 122 things. The dude, he's been in a lot of big stuff. So
yeah, he's actually, Michael Seamus Wiles. You wouldn't know it from seeing Erik Tenkiller, but he's actually a really good actor.
Yeah. He doesn't exactly shine in this, does he?
No,
I think it's fair to say. But Nathan, I had a very similar experience to you, actually, because I saw this video box and it called out to me. And what it said to me was, run away, save yourself. So I didn't actually watch the film for many years until Erik had the misfortune to review it for Hysteria Lives. So I watched it at that point. So I'm just going to read my notes here. There's not many, but here's my notes. It's the 2 female characters, just Witter. Film equivalent of watching paint dry. So flat, the longest 89 minutes of my life. Acting one notch up on Blood Lake. That was all of my notes for this movie. Unfortunately, Nathan, I found it interminable. It just went on and on and on, and it's no Splatter University. There's no U-turn here for me with this movie. Unfortunately, I think it is literally it's the videotape equivalent of a sedative.
Well, I know Joseph's not going to have nice things to say, but I would like to hear them.
Okay, well, Johnny sent me a private message looking for a copy of Blood Lake, and the title he came up with not only made me laugh out loud, but I agree, terror at 10 shitter. Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen this movie like 3 times. I don't know how. Well, one for recording all the intro stuff and then watching it, but and then I'd seen it a long time ago. But boy, this is an endurance test. I'm sorry. I mean, I try to see the good and everything, and I guess there's a couple of moments, just small moments. The throat slashing and I guess some of the acting, so bad that it's comical. But it's a movie that. Boy, I mean, you really need to kind of have a fork handy and keep stabbing yourself in the leg with it repeatedly to keep yourself awake. It is so dull and just, it's so cloying and just on and on and on, and there's no excitement whatsoever. It's just so bad. I mean, this is we haven't got to Blood Lake yet, so I don't know if I want to make this claim, but this is one of, if not the worst film we've covered on the podcast so far.
I think the cover of the DVD, if it ever gets a special edition, should say like a visual hobbling comparative to Misery.
Okay, and last but not least, Eric, when you reviewed this...
I did. I reviewed this for Hysteria Lives About.
You remember what you said? You said, I'm suing the Hysteria Lives for psychological trauma.
Well, yeah. And it's like this... But in fairness, this was maybe 2000, 2001, so it's about 14 or 15 years since I did that review. And as you know, opinions can change, over the course of time. And they have, because 14, 15 years on, looking back on my review, I gave it 1 star. And I think that, in fact, I was being a bit overgenerous. I'm sorry to say. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line, Nathan, is that Tenkiller is just utterly, utterly boring. I mean, I can handle inept acting and threadbare plotting and lack of gore and action, but I just can't cope with boredom, and that's what the film is. It has a problem from the get-go. You're in trouble because it has this sort of somnambulistic pace to... I said in my review back in the day that the really poor acting, particularly from the character of Josh, provides a lot of merriment initially, but that novelty soon wears off, as the movie drags on. It's basically Jana and Leslie talking about how bad a boyfriend Josh is, with nothing else happening in the entire movie. And as you say, it might have worked slightly better had it been a whodunit kind of plot, but they give away Tor's identity quite early on when he kills that woman in the hot tub, and she even shouts out his name, so you make sure that you know exactly who the killer is, just in case the print you're watching is dark and you're not quite sure who's there. It's technically more accomplished than maybe Blood Lake, which we're about to cover, but that's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a blessing. It's so dull. I mean, I can't get over how bad it is. I didn't care about Leslie's boyfriend trouble. I didn't care why the lake was called Tenkiller. I didn't even think that that was the name of the lake until Johnny informed me there that it actually does exist. I mean, I didn't care about Jana's, insatiable desire to jump in the lake at every available opportunity, even when it's raining. There was 2 things in it I kind of liked. Apart from Josh's wooden acting, there was a scene where a preacher gets his arm cut off, which was quite a nifty effect, I thought. And then, of course, the scene where Jana is finally, we're finally put out of our misery by seeing Jana being killed, which is washing her hair in the sink. But apart from that, nothing happens. And I love the way the ending is so rushed. I won't give away, well, I probably will give away the ending, but basically Tor is supposedly drowned, but we don't actually see what happens. All we get is Leslie's voiceover explaining the ending to us, and then you cut to credits. I mean, even something like Savage Water, it has enough ludicrous incident in it, give it a tiny degree of momentum, whereas Tenkiller has no sort of WTF moments in it at all. It's just totally and utterly dull. So I think this is quite simply the worst film we have covered on the podcast so far, and that's your fault, Nathan. Sorry.
Well,
we still got Blood Lake to come.
It could only have been me.
It could only have been you, yeah. There was one of the other things I liked about it. Well, it's a tiny little piece of dialogue. There's a woman in a waitress who says, "Do you girls want to see a menu?" And that the way she says that, it always makes me laugh. But 7 seconds out of 85 minutes is not good enough. I'm sorry.
Eric, you mentioned the overdubbing voice acting in this. The scene where Tor's drowning is hilariously funny, just because you could tell it's an overdub and studio and like screaming for help. I was dying during that.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that, Johnny? You cut out.
You cut out, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the overdub on the scene where Tor's drowning. It just sounds like it's a guy gargling water in a studio asking for help.
I'm sure it probably was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Surely I can't, for a whole movie to be looped, I know that low budget films, they do that sometimes, and certainly Italian films used to do it all the time, but it's one thing that say is technically more competent than Blood Lake. I mean, it would be difficult not to be, obviously, but it's why they didn't film, because it gives it even more of a stilted feel, and because it's such a dialogue heavy movie, it must have been a nightmare to loop all that. Can you imagine?
I will say that, even though I do like the movie more than you guys, the editing is almost non-existent because, I mean, you have scenes of, say Leslie walking from the cabin to the restaurant and you'll see the entire walk.
Yeah.
Like, there's, and it's funny because it's like it's almost like they filmed everything they could possibly film to get it to feature length.
Well, I can explain that. The editor probably saw the footage, was like, fuck this, and left.
He was probably asleep.
He wasn't getting paid anything.
I have a theory that it started as a short film, and then they wanted to expand it, so they put in a lot of the dialogue-heavy scenes. As Erik says in the review, so far, so Knots Landing.
Could have been about 84 minutes and 59 seconds shorter, and I'd been happy.
Yeah. Although I did point out in my review as well that lead actress, actress in inverted commas, Stacey Logan looks a bit like Olivia Newton-John. So, I could wander off my mind and imagine I was watching Xanadu or Grease. Or even better, Two of a Kind.
So you guys didn't enjoy it?
That would be no, I didn't enjoy it. Yeah. Very much so. And I've seen this film quite a lot, because when I reviewed it back in the day, I would have watched it maybe 3 or 4 times for the review, and I only watched it once this week, and it all came flooding back to me about how horrible it was.
I got a cool little anagram about this movie. Tenkiller is actually, an anagram for that is rat-like lint terror, which is actually, it sounds more suspenseful than the actual movie.
It does. It's those films where you can't help but being distracted and looking at your phone. When the film's on, I couldn't take my eyes off my phone through the whole of this movie.
Well, no wonder you only had 3 lines to say.
Well, I could hear the dialogue.
Yeah,
it was.
Was that enough?
You didn't need to watch the screen because nothing was happening on
it. Exactly.
Yes, there was dialogue, and if you didn't watch it, you'd never know about Josh and his temper.
Or you wouldn't know about Tor and how much denim he wears.
Yeah, well, he did wear a lot of denim, yes.
Yes, and so, and also for Johnny and Joseph, do you often bring fish for ladies? Does that woo them?
Yeah, to woo a lady.
Yeah, here's a nice big red snapper for you. Enjoy.
That's what she says to you, right?
Yeah.
It was very, very strange.
I love tuna.
I about spit my drink out.
Well, let's move on. Before it gets too heterosexual.
Too juvenile. 98 episodes in, then that's too juvenile.
Yeah,
Erik making noises, and that's too juvenile.
Yeah, well, it is.
Okay, well, before it descends,
it doesn't suit my sophisticated brand of humor.
Yeah. And also, we can't descend.
Eric, do you have a joke of the week?
Oh shit!
We better think of one.
I better think of one.
You've got until after Blood Lake.
Yeah,
we're gonna need something here, Eric.
I completely forgot to do a joke of the week.
Oh, Eric.
I know.
We couldn't sink any lower, but we will be shortly with Blood Lake. But do we have any background on this video?
I tried to find background, but really all I had was that Tor had gone on, like you guys have already said, to a pretty good career. And I also know that this movie on the United home video box says that it's not recommended for persons under 17 years of age due to graphic violence.
There is that scene.
I thought it would be kind of recommended for people under 17 because it's pretty juvenile.
Well, I don't think they factored in, a broken relationship. Juveniles can't handle that.
Yes, they can.
Domestic abuse.
Yes, domestic abuse.
Showering with your underwear on. There's a whole mess of things.
A little beating never hurt anybody.
Well, if you had that stupid clip from Criminally Insane where the girl's making out with her boyfriend and then she's just like, wait a minute, if you love me, why'd you beat the hell out of me? And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. You need a good beating once in a while. All women do, and you especially. And then she starts making out with him some more.
I would sooner watch Criminally Insane on a 24-hour loop than ever watch Tenkiller again.
What about Crazy Fat Ethel 2?
Yes, that as well.
That's much better.
See, that's saying something, isn't it?
And that's saying something, yes.
One thing about Tenkiller that, from what I understand, the Lake Tenkiller is a big party spot pretty much year-round up until winter. And they swam a lot in this movie, which to me says that it was filmed probably during a nice time of year, which is confusing because there was nobody there. The lake was always pretty desolate.
They probably knew what was going on. They're like, I don't want my face seen in that crap.
Yeah, because I hear it's always like just Partyville down there, and there's nobody except for those two women pretty much and that old fisherman.
And the diner waitress. Hey.
You want to see me and you?
Hey, Tor, how's it going?
So has anyone else got any background?
The cat.
Yeah. What was that, Stripes?
Strap says, I just took a nice shit in the litter box. It was more entertaining than Tenkiller.
That'll be on the screen
back to release. Me.
Eric, have you got anything for us?
Yeah, well, I have just a couple of things. Yeah, I said in my review at the time that Stacey Logan went on to be she of course plays Leslie. She went on to be a stunt woman in lots of big Hollywood blockbusters. But since doing that review, IMDb have now separated the two Stacey Logans on their listings. So now this is her sole screen credit of any kind, and there's a different Stacey Logan. So maybe we need to amend the review. Okay. What else do I have? Michael Wiles, as you say, went on to a very successful television career. He was in Breaking Bad, Sons of Anarchy. He's also in Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem. So I'm still sort of flabbergasted that any of the acting talent, in inverted commas, on display in Terror at Tenkiller went on to have a big successful career. But there you go. Kevin Meyer, who plays Josh, the wonderful Josh, he's now a successful film and documentary maker. He quit acting, God knows why. Dale Buckmaster, who plays Preacher, had his voice redubbed by somebody called Freeman Williams, so it's not, we don't actually get to hear his acting talent on screen. The film was scored by Robert Farrar, who also did the scores for Don't Open the Door and Keep My Grave Open, which are a couple of 70s movies. And as Johnny was saying, it was shot in Oklahoma, in the party central spot of Lake Tenkiller. But if anything is going to make me stay away from Lake Tenkiller, it's this movie. Just because I don't want to bore myself to death for a week's holiday.
Aw, I really want to go visit Lake Tenkiller.
Well, you would.
I'm pretty sure nothing's really changed around there. The signs are probably still up, and the diner's probably still there.
Oh my God, I want to go get my picture made in front of that stuff.
I'm pretty sure half the people in this movie are locals.
And do people like Stacey and Jana, or Leslie and Jana, still vacation there? Because I don't want to hang out with people like that.
I doubt they let anybody know that this movie exists.
Yeah.
So there's not like a mystery that there's somebody named Tor haunting the area?
I don't know, but that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'd be a sequel being made to this movie anytime soon. Not with the original cast.
You know, for as many tornadoes that ripped through Oklahoma, why couldn't one have ripped through when they were making this movie?
Because then we wouldn't have covered it on the podcast.
Well,
this was a tornado, but this was a tor-nado.
Oh, joke of the week. That's
very good.
I don't think Erik can top that one.
That's where I thought you were going with that.
See, Erik, it's been pulled out from underneath you, isn't it? You've got.
I know.
You've got to come up for. I can imagine your mind is working furiously.
It is. That's why I'm going through these gaps of silence. I'm trying to think curiously of something to say.
Okay. Well, what about any other background? Anyone else got anything? I've got a couple of bits.
I have a little bit.
Okay.
Kevin Meyer, apparently, who plays Josh, apparently he has a pet tortoise. It's like over 40 years old, a desert tortoise. It's rather large. It lives in his downstairs closet. Kind of a weird little factoid about him. And apparently
I thought that was a joke.
Yeah, I was waiting for a punchline.
He was nominated for 12 Oscars. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. He was awarded, Times Man of the Year for his acting.
Okay.
The only thing, if that's true, is the tortoise bit. That's the only background I have on this movie.
You know how big a 40-year-old tortoise would be? He has it in his closet downstairs.
Yeah, it's a desert tortoise, apparently.
That's kind of scary. Like, that's probably a sad tortoise.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Gosh, I hope he doesn't make the tortoise watch this.
Here's a joke for maybe my joke of the week.
This is the only thing slower than a tortoise.
Yeah.
Yes, anything slow. Exactly. Are you ready for your joke of the week?
Let me just get the phrasing of it right in my head, okay?
Well, you got to play the intro.
Hang on.
Go on.
Do I have time?
No pressure. No pressure.
Okay. Yeah, go.
It's my joke of the week. It's so freaking fantastic.
Oh God, I've just realised it's awful. But what did the kid? I haven't even said it yet. Give me a chance to even say it. What did the killer in Tenkiller play with when he was young? Toys.
Toys.
I don't get it.
He's a tortoise.
Because we were talking about a tortoise. I might come up with something better before the end.
Oh, Erik, I was sure you were going to come up with
one for Blood Lake.
I thought you were going to come up with a Toya joke. A Tora.
Tora.
You know, honestly, I don't think Erik needed a joke of the week. I think these two films are, doing a good job of that themselves.
Well, don't forget we have got another one to get through. So let's move along before we get.
Yes, you said you had a few bits of background.
Well, just I think it was released. Is it released? The video cassette you've got is from VCI Entertainment.
One I had's from United.
Oh, United. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did see that this when I looked at it, and it was mentioned in Variety, amazingly, that it was released. It said previous United made-fors were Blood Cult, The Ripper with Tom Savini, Revenge, which is the sequel to Blood Cult, Terror at Tenkiller, Forever Evil, and The Last Slumber Party.
Okay, man, so that's an awesome catalog.
Well,
I think it's starting to make a lot of sense now. Yeah,
yeah. I was thinking that was Nathan's dream canon.
Yeah,
yes,
I'd like to put it in a canon and shoot it out.
The Last Slumber Party is about 100 times better than this.
Oh yeah,
I love The Last Slumber
Party. That's really saying something.
There was I did find something else, and this will confuse me about the VCI thing because I think VCI might have put out Blood Lake, did they? Anyway, but they it says that in 1976 there was somebody called Bill F. Blair, who was from Oklahoma-based VCI Entertainment. He said released a slew of obscure, often low-budget or no-budget films. And he put out the Last Slumber Party. It says United Entertainment is a company Blair founded as an offshoot for his company United Pictures. So it's all obviously linked. He put out Last Slumber Party. I didn't have anything to do with it, but it was Oklahoma based. So I think he was the person really behind Terror at Tenkiller about getting it made to put out on his own label. So that's all I've got really. That it's you've got Oklahoma to thank for this.
VCI, yeah, they're located out of Tulsa, and they've released recently a few better movies. Like they've done Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, and they also did City of the Dead, the Christopher Lee movie.
Okay, yeah.
So they have a few things in their catalog that are decent.
I think I like Tenkiller better.
Wasn't it released on a double bill on DVD with
The Last Slumber Party?
Last Slumber Party, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yep, it was.
God.
What a double bill that would be.
Yes.
I've sat through that double bill so many times.
Now that is a drink coaster right there.
One thing for you guys, when I was searching this movie out, I went to YouTube and typed in Tenkiller just to see what was on there. And one of the first few videos that pops up is actually the Riff Tracks version of the movie. So if you're interested in seeing people make fun of it.
Yeah, I did see that.
Was it good?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I like those guys, so
yeah, they're awesome.
Cool, right?
You know, these movies are connected, you guys, because if you think about it, they were both released by United, both 1987, both at a lake,
both
vomit-inducing,
and both of them, neither of them had Alan Dale from Neighbors,
and they both sunk without a trace,
and they're both awesome.
They're both what? Justin, did you say?
Well, so they both sunk without a trace.
Yes, the lake.
I'll replace some with full, Nathan.
Yeah. I think we should go from Tenkiller to that other lake, don't you? I think we should get this.
So how have you guys been? You've been pretty good?
Come on, Joseph, you can't put it on any longer. This is some classic dialogue from the epic Blood Lake.
You fags giving up already?
For this round, little man, I can't wait to see him make an asshole of himself.
Hey, man, don't worry about me.
I won't.
So how was it? Did you have fun?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess you didn't look too bad for a couple of legs.
Looks, I've got you. Never mind, I'm going to try and act civilized today.
Probably a pretty good idea. Being wise.
Yes.
Why don't we pull the ropes in and let's go get Dennis a check?
Okay.
Susan, let me know when you're ready to try skiing, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just let me know when you're ready to try. I'll teach you.
Oh, shut up, you sicko.
The excitement never ends.
Award-winning.
All starts.
Okay. I have to say, sheer terror, sublime suspense. A quick dip in the lake turns into a bloodbath of horror. 6 teenagers are looking forward to a weekend of partying, sex, and all-around fun. But before the party is even started, one couple disappears, only to be found later brutally murdered. A bloodthirsty killer is stalking their summer playground. One by one, bodies begin to turn up. On the beach, in the boat, the vacationers become prey to the venomous, vengeance-seeking maniac. There's only one person left to either kill the killer or be killed. There's nowhere to hide. Who will come out alive? After watching Blood Lake, I have to say that whoever wrote that blurb didn't watch the movie, because I think the party has been started for a long time before the bodies start turning up.
Party?
Yeah. This was Redneck Spring Break. And it reminded me of when I was young and had to go camping with my family. Like, of course, the accents are spot on, and it's probably because that's the real accents. But they're very, very Southern, and it really did remind me of my family and going on a trip to a lake for camping, which I hate, absolutely hate camping with a passion. And I love the fact that the back of the box says there's only one person left. And no, there's not. There's more than one person left at the end that's still alive. The body count in this movie is really not that big, and it does seem to take a long time to get to the actual kills. I mean, we got to watch them ski, and we got to watch them play quarters for a while. And I really don't think there was a script to this movie, because it seems more like it's just, I mean, with Tenkiller, the dialogue, I know you guys say, it's completely boring, but I do believe there was a script there. Whereas this one is just, Joseph and I took a lot of flack for Not Before Easter, the scenes in the beginning where the characters are talking over each other and stuff. But that's the entire movie of Blood Lake. That kind of dialogue is throughout the entire film. And the little kid, Tony, I kind of wanted to smack him He's very obnoxious. He's very obnoxious. And he's constantly talking about wanting to get this little girl into bed. And I'm like, they look like they're 12. So it's
I was
really
going to say
weird.
that.
It's very weird.
Don't the adults mention it more than the kids? They're like, hey, you guys going to get your bang on tonight? Like, are you guys serious with this shit?
It's so weird. And then I'm going to spoil it. Okay, so the killer, it turns out, what's happened was the killer sold his house, and one of the girls that vacations there with her friends, her dad bought it and never paid the killer for his house, so he kills them. And that's his motive. Instead of, I guess, going and getting an attorney because he got ripped off or something, I guess he decided, you know what, I'm just going to take them out. So I thought the motive was very interesting. I don't know if I've ever quite seen a motive exactly like that one.
Stupid.
Stupid. And I love the scene where the little girl is going to ski and they pull her up, and as soon as they do, she just does a face plant right in the water. I thought that was pretty awesome. But I mean, I did kind of get a little bored with Blood Lake, even though I like it. I did get a little bored with the skiing because just like with Tenkiller, there's no editing because you have to watch these people like climb out of the boat, get into the water, get their skis on. I mean, you're just watching it all like in real time. There's no editing there. So I don't know. Watching people ski is not one of the funnest things in the world to do. So I wasn't quite excited about that, I have to say. But I think this time we're going to start with Erik.
Okay, well, there's shot on video and then there's shot on video. I mean, we've covered films like Houseboat Horror, Crazy Fat Ethel 2, and Boarding House. And, you know, and whilst they all sort of fall a tad short of being a masterpiece, at least they have something. They have a certain, I mean, I was saying this about Terror at Tenkiller, they have a certain WTF factor that makes them fun, particularly something like Boarding House. But there's no hallucinogenic joy to be had, really, with Blood Lake, apart from the ace up its sleeve, which is the character of Little Tony, who, as we were just saying there, it's just bizarre the way he's constantly trying to get, it's Susan is her name, into bed, and how his older brother or whatever it is trying to goad him to bed this girl, and they're both about 12. The problems here are mainly technical, like with Coda that we were mentioning and recently seen. The night scenes are very dark, and it makes, you know, it's hard to make anything out, and sometimes the dialogue is a bit difficult to decipher. So maybe, you know, a pristine Blu-ray release might go some way to addressing some of these problems, although I don't think I'd be buying it. And of course, everyone's talking at once, as you were saying. Yeah, and all the guys in this look the same. They all have the same sort of short mullet and sleeveless T-shirt combo, which made them hard for me to distinguish from one another.
I thought you said hot.
Hot?
I thought that's what you said.
No, they all look the same. It made it hard for me. No, it didn't make me hard.
I think I got all I want from you, madam. Thank you.
You think so?
Well, perhaps there are a couple of points I'd like to go over with you later.
Yeah, it made me hard looking at all these guys because I love mullets and T-shirts and skinny guys. And I had a little touch of myself while I was watching the movie.
Watch your back, Johnny.
But the padding, oh my God, the padding, scene after scene after scene of water skiing. And I mean, it was kind of funny where Susan falls face first on her first attempt at trying out skiing, but my God, that skiing scene never seemed to end. And then it moved from that into that drinking game, which I think you call quarters. I'm not familiar with it myself. The killer was semi-attractive, I have to say. He did look a bit like Garth Brooks going around with his Stetson on. Overall, though, the film was such a bore, though. However, I will say I have seen worse. Worse being Terror at Tenkiller. I think of the two, this is the lesser of two evils, but only slightly. I mean, I have seen films worse than Terror at Tenkiller as well, I have to say. I mean, Night of Horror, I still think, is the pinnacle for a very boring horror movie. But yeah, Blood Lake, not one I'll be revisiting, I'm afraid. But if I was forced to watch this or Terror at Tenkiller again, I'd probably sit through this, I think. Awesome. Justin?
Well, I tried to watch this on YouTube. I did watch it all, but it kept on stopping. I had to get up and try and get it to start again. And I wondered, it was obviously my computer was telling me something. But I've got my notes again. I didn't write many notes, perhaps unsurprisingly, but I wrote, like someone's home movie. I can't wait for them to die. Terrible acting. My God, the water skiing just keeps going on and on, watching the whole cast do a lap of that bloody lake for the length of a bad rock song. I made a cup of tea and they were still playing that fucking penny game. So fucking boring. The song, we thought it had gone forever, too right. And then lastly, the killer's motive is pretty fucking stupid. I agree with Erik, though. This is probably, if you're given a box of chocolates like the ones that Divine gets in Pink Flamingo, and you have to choose one turd over another, then I would choose this one. But really, it was incredibly boring as well. The padding, I could feel my life force leaching out of my eyeballs watching this. So I hope they would use that as a quote on the cover if they ever re-release it on Blu-ray, as Erik was hoping for. But yeah, it's slightly less boring than Tenkiller, but still, this is no Splatter University. It didn't get me, didn't turn me. Nathan, I'm afraid you've not worked your charm on me this time.
Oh, darn. Joseph?
Well, I think it may be worse than Tenkiller, at least on a technical level. As far as boring, I mean, how do you compare the two? I mean, they're both just dull city. The one thing I will say about Blood Lake that I'm not going to say I liked it, but it was kind of amusing, was the Tony character, which Erik's already mentioned. It's just so bizarre that, everyone would egg this kid on to, have sex with this other kid when I don't even think your reproductive organs have, matured at that age to where you can actually enjoy sex for what it is. It would basically just be two kids. See, and now we're getting into very disturbing territory, and this movie is just, got me talking about pedophilia. It's what's going on here?
It's not worth it, Joseph. Don't overanalyze it.
Yeah, but anyway, just long stretches of people water skiing and playing quarters and just, hey man, you want to go in here and watch some TV? Hey man, let's go water skiing. Hey man, let's play some quarters. Hey man, get me a beer. Hey man, nice mullet. It just goes on and on and on. And, at least with Tenkiller, there was some, consistency with production value, not much, but some. Here it's like when I was doing the audio, obviously whoever did the audio on this film only recorded mono. They didn't do it in stereo, so I had to double the track to get it in stereo. So and it's all like kind of warbled, like if a movie is bad and boring, if there's some technical quality to it, I can kind of get past some of the dull stuff. But here, not only is it dull, but it's just so piss poorly made that I don't know. It's just it hurts me. It genuinely pains me when I have to watch shit like this, Nathan. I have a quote here, Nathan. I think that you might like. That this is basically how I feel about you right now. But, once I get you in my domain, Nathan Randall Johnson, I will annihilate you. I will destroy you with a double-braised python. I will take you down with the whirlpool. I will make you my little baby, and I will breastfeed you until you die.
Ooh, it's like Pulp Fiction.
Spenny won those battles there.
Yes, he did.
Regardless of what Kenny said.
But yeah, Blood Lake is the type of movie that could only be uploaded to YouTube. How it ever got a VHS release, and I'm not even sure if it ever got a DVD release, but how it could ever get any kind of a release is beyond me. This is the type of movie that gets uploaded to YouTube, and then you immediately report whoever uploaded it for kind of just
taste
offensive, just offending the general public. It's just it's a big shit sandwich, and unfortunately, I had to take a bite.
I kind of like what Justin had written in his notes. What was it, Justin, about we're watching somebody's vacation videos?
It really felt like that, didn't it? It just that's how it started off. The most uninteresting teen vacation ever should be the subtitle.
What do you think, Johnny?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and correct you, Nathan, because you said that on the box the tagline said only one person's left, and that was from the one screening that was documenting how many people were left at the end of it, and that was the director. And
you think they even had a screening?
Maybe one, somewhere one time. Maybe at his house, and his friends all left. But this movie, it's definitely a drop down in quality, as you'll be able to tell, because Lake Tenkiller had the fancy sign, whereas this one had a spray painted sign for the lake. Which immediately stood out to me. I'm like, wow, they didn't even do a good job spray painting it. It seriously looked like someone with like a twitching disorder was spraying it. But I don't know, the character of Tony, we've all kind of touched on him. Whoa, that didn't sound right. We've all kind of talked about him. But the character of Tony, to me, seemed like he was well on his way to becoming a very Bill Cosby-esque adult. Like, he's very forceful with the ladies, very, very overpowering with that little girl. The characters, like Erik said, they were all very similar. Even the women, for me, though. I thought the women were very similar, too.
Yeah.
And the kills in this, they're really... the last movie had not a lot of kills in it, but the few they did have, some of them were pretty cool. This one, nothing really stood out as being memorable. Like, did you guys notice any kills? It was really dark, so it was hard to see. But I know the scene where the couple is apparently doing stuff in the boat in the dark. I mean, the killer comes up, and you see a little bit of maybe a throat getting slashed there for a second, but it was so dark I couldn't tell. It could have been anything, really.
It wasn't exactly The Burning.
No. But
something was burning after watching this.
An anagram for this movie is all booked, which is the response from anybody that has to be in this with talent.
Very good.
The
Erik,
one thing
you really need to step up your game on your next joke.
I do.
Johnny is just demolishing you here.
I have another joke of the week.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Should we do it now?
If you want, yeah.
It's my joke of the week. It's so fantastic.
Okay. Did you know that the director of this film made a sequel about period pains? It was called Blood Ache.
Oh, Erik. We were all having so much fun.
Sorry. I didn't mean to.
You get an extra long wind and chimes this one.
Well, thank you, Erik. Guys, you managed to pull it out of the bag, didn't you? So you are a professional.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, one thing I was going to say, and this is what I love about 80s slasher movies sometimes. It's there's always something in it that's surprising. There's nothing surprising in Tenkiller, but in Blood Lake there was the ending with the empty lake.
The existential ending is...
The existential ending.
Yes.
Who would have thought a film as awful and as obvious as Blood Lake, it would end in such an... It almost brings to mind the end of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, I thought.
I can see where you're coming from, but that didn't pop into my head when I was watching it.
No, but I thought the special effects were quite good, weren't they, considering? Because it comes up at the end and says, empty
Doesn't
lake.
it say it's Mother Nature that does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says act of God.
Act of God, yeah.
Active invisible person.
Oh, so it wasn't... It was actually the lake had been drained, because I wondered...
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
No, I think it's just it hadn't rained in a few weeks, so the lake was dry.
I'm just...
No, they literally killed it by filming there.
I told you guys already, or actually Erik and I had this conversation. It's an existential ending. It's about, the carnage is over, the lake is dry.
The quality is just a giant black hole that swallows everything in its path.
What's funny is in the messages, Erik says, was there any significance to the lake being dry? So I gave him like a paragraph, about the existentialism of it. And Eric's like, oh, okay, no significance then. Thanks.
Yeah, well, that scene is just played out in front of my very eyes as we're doing the podcast. And the credit is Dry Lake Special Visual Effects by An Act of God, it says.
Oh, well, I was just being particularly unobservant then.
I quite liked how intelligent the teenagers were in the film when
what?
Yeah, when a murder turns up and they decide to continue their vacation, and then two bright bulbs decide, oh, let's go out for a walk along the lake in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it's all very eyeball.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's no eyeball.
No.
So,
unfortunately, I did not get a chance to dig out my eyeballs.
Well, there's one good thing I'll say about Erik, Tenkiller and Blood Lake, and that is now we've watched them, we never have to again.
Yeah.
So there is a silver lining, isn't there?
Yeah, but
until we do a remake.
Yeah, but I mean, there's probably a plethora of this type of movie that Nathan has up his sleeve for us. I think I can.
You guys have no idea.
Yeah, House of Pain Part 2 coming along.
You have no
Erik?
idea.
Shut the hell up.
I know. Don't be giving him ideas. I know.
Oh, he didn't have to. Eric, don't feel bad. I've already had those ideas.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. Yeah.
I bet you have them every night. You're evil like that.
Evil? How dare you?
What do you mean, how dare you? Anyway, let's move on to background. Is there any background on this?
I have something.
I've got something.
I have nothing.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Well, I know that the director went on to actually a huge career working in sound and ADR. He's actually like a sound editor. And he did 14 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Which stars Tor from Terror Tenkiller.
Wow.
Yep. Another connection.
And he worked on Sopranos.
Yeah, he worked on Sopranos.
Breaking Bad is really well known for its cinematography and sound. I mean, how did this guy go in and say, here's my resume, I did Blood Lake, and they're like, you're hired.
Remember, before that, he had done like a lot of shows. He did Big Love. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff. Maybe after Blood Lake, he decided, you know what, I'm gonna go back to school because he did like Tales from the Crypt and
Maniac Cop 3. He did.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of stuff.
What I found when I went looking up Blood Lake on IMDb, it gives you recommendations on it as well. And one of the films it recommended that I might also be interested in looking up was a 2012 film called Return to Blood Fart Lake. Has anyone seen Return to Blood Fart Lake?
No. What a title.
Please don't give him any more ideas.
No,
Erik. No.
That's for our next episode.
We're going classy next week.
We
next
are.
Time.
Yes, very classy.
So, any other backgrounds?
Who else have background?
I have a little bit.
Yeah.
The Killer. His name is in the movie is The Killer. He's a rather large guy, but his name is Tiny Frazier.
Oh.
You see what's going on there?
Yes, clever.
Yeah, I mean that's some very deep background information.
It would be like if we called Justin Fat Meat Eater.
Yeah, kind of. But does he have a tortoise?
He does.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, that's another connection then.
He keeps it in his refrigerator.
Well, that's not well.
Whatever happened to Little Tony? That's what I want to know.
Whatever happened to Little Tony? Apparently,
he got a girl pregnant quite early, I'd say.
He is played by Travis Krasser, and he has done absolutely nothing. It says here, dyed skin black, handed out pudding pops to several women.
I heard he after this moved on to meth.
He might have.
I feel like he was unnecessarily obnoxious in this movie. Like, there's one scene where the girl, Susan, says something, and they're talking about him, and it's not even rude, and then it cuts to him, and he's flipping them off. For no reason.
That's kids for you. That's youth of today.
I think he's
no respect.
flipping off the audience like, haha, joke's on you.
Well, are we...
Such an awesome double feature, I gotta say.
Well, thank you, Nathan.
Well,
for your
the all bit is right, but the some bit I would change for another word.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
I made that joke earlier, Erik. Erik, what the fuck?
Oh, sorry. I was probably trying to think of my joke of the week.
You were just off.
My two jokes of the week, which you were so blessed with.
Yes.
Well, I think it's time to draw a veil over Nathan's house of mystery and suspense. A black one, yeah. And and then put it in the bag, and then throw it in the lake with rocks in
I
it.
want you guys to be very prepared for Nathan's House of Pain Part 2, which will be here maybe late this year. So look forward to it.
Joy.
You all experience the blood ache.
Yes.
Well, I think we let's move on, shall we? Because I think we've talked about these as much as I can. I keep on getting flashbacks, and that's not good. So, is that okay, Nathan? If you said everything you wanted to say about these two choices?
Oh yes, I mean I think that they speak for themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, and so does Stripes.
Stripes agrees.
Right. Okay. Well, let's get on to.
That sounds like a cry for help rather than.
Have you got?
Help me! I live in a house with someone who enjoys these movies. Help!
Yeah, I bet you've got it on the background, haven't you, Nathan?
Yeah, I do. It's on Tenkiller right now.
And you got Straps. She's like kind of stuck to the sofa with gaffer tape, watching this.
Yeah, I taped her down.
Oh, well, you have to do that to me again if ever to watch these two again. But anyway, thank you, Nathan, for your distinctive style and choices.
You're welcome.
So, let's go on to some feedback. Who would like to go first?
I will.
I got one.
Oh.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Okay. This is from Ben Scher. I believe he's Meeps co-host on Cinema Do Meeps podcast.
He is indeed, yes.
Do you know if I got his name right?
I'm not sure how to pronounce his surname. I'd say sure, yeah. Ben Scher, probably.
Sure.
It says, Dear Erik, Justin, Nathan, and Joseph, I apologize for the long email. I've been meaning to write you for a while and have accumulated all sorts of things that I need to say. I've been listening to the Hysteria Continues for almost a year. It has revolutionized my endless driving around Los Angeles, made me seek out some new slasher films, and made me watch my favorite slashers for the first time again, as if it was the first time again. I have a question for Justin. Justin, I gather from the podcast that you are a former graveyard trolling goth who now has a who now has a seemingly cozy adulthood filled with cats, veganism, partnerhood, book writing, and wine. Do you identify with the scene in Notes of a Scandal in which wealthy, proper school teacher Kate Blanchett, sick of being harassed about her affair with a 14-year-old thanks to evil lesbian Judi Dench, breaks out her Susie albums, dresses up like Susie, and then emerges from her Pottery Barney English brownstone in order to lash out at a bunch of paparazzi? I know that I do, not the affair with the 14-year-old part. I would also like to second the request from another listener that you guys cover Eyes of Laura Mars, the ultra-glamorous disco slasher starring unlikely final girl Faye Dunaway. I await future episodes with bated breath. Your sorority sister, Ben Scher, from Retro Movie Love and Chiller TV. P.S. I actually think that Dana Kimmel is a righteous final girl and that her showdown with Jason is one of the most suspenseful in the series. I also love her Jason trauma narrative. I didn't realize until I started listening to the show that this was weird.
Well, there you go. But yes, I do identify with Kate Blanchett. I haven't seen Notes of a Scandal for ages, but yes, apart from the affair with a 14-year-old, it was, I often break out my Susie albums and then go outside and beat off the paparazzi. So,
I'm sure you do.
But no, it's good to hear from you, Ben. I'm glad we're making your drive around Los Angeles that bit easier because that's what we like to do. We're kind of like with drive time with I don't know, with what jokes and Nathan's pure cinema.
Yes.
So. Okay, well, thank you, Ben. Good to hear from you, and hope you continue to our future episodes. We've actually got, talking about A World of Pain, we do have listener picks coming up, and some of those could be considered getting into that territory. So, hang on, it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Yes.
So, who would like to go next?
I will.
Okay.
This is from Jenny Cameron. She says, "Hi guys, haven't written in any feedback in a while and thought I'd say hello. I'm now caught up but was behind for once because someone had gave me a terabyte of music. I actually love Erik's jokes and Nathan's Algonquin table, not Al Jolson table. I was happy to donate to the Glory Graduation campaign because I love you guys. That, and for some reason my credit for the sacrament has disappeared. You actually see me a lot in the movie, so my uncredited Eden Parish member mention being taken away sucked. I know this is random and it has been brought up a bit from someone else, but what is your favorite clothing item from a slasher film? I love the sweater in Black Christmas. It's hands down the coolest. Well, anyway, take it easy and keep up the great work. Maybe I'll have something more interesting to say next time. Jenny Cameron.
Well, thank you, Jenny.
Yes.
So did I take from that she was in Ty West's The Sacrament?
Apparently, yes.
Oh, okay. You have to tell us where you were, Jenny, who you played. Because
she's the uncredited Eden Parish member. So,
right. Well, there's quite a few of them, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. So.
Oh, okay.
One of our favourite fashion items, I like the Grace Jones jumper that, I can't remember the character's name, it's not Inga, who the heroine wears in Bloody Moon.
Yes, that's a good choice. Good choice.
Or any of the fantastic Technicolor frocks that the ladies wear in Sorority House Massacre.
How about What's-His-Face's pajamas and Don't Panic?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The dinosaur PJs.
I kind of like Linda Blair's vaudeville get-up in Hell Night.
Yeah, it certainly accents her boobs.
It does, indeed.
So awesome.
What about you, Johnny? Have you got any favourite fashion items from slasher movies?
I think I'd pick...
Probably somebody's G-string, is it?
Yeah. I think I'd pick Demon's outfit from Friday the 13th Part 5. With that whole Eddie Murphy,
yeah.
Michael Jackson,
yeah,
like leather thing.
Damn enchiladas.
What about you, Joseph?
I just said PJs from Don't Panic.
Oh, you did, didn't you? Okay, yeah. Nathan.
I quite like the outfits of all the workout people in Aerobicide.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you, Jenny. Always good to hear from you. And
and Stripes.
Yeah. And actually, talking of gory graduation, you've got a last day fundraising surge, haven't you? Going on. Will that be what date is that? Will that be in time before this episode goes out, or?
Well, this episode goes out on next Sunday, correct?
Yes, have to speak about that. I might, because I'm working next weekend, so I might have to put it out on the Thursday. But yeah,
that would actually be better. I mean, the fundraiser, the last day is the 31st, and basically what we're doing is hoping everyone on our Facebook page, which is well over 1,400 people, would donate anywhere from like $5 to $7. It would probably push us, closer to our goal. Or at least a nice comfort level. And then, there's still like 10, 11 days left until then. By the time you hear this, there'll only be like 4 or 5. But we are having that last day thing. Just basically on the last day, if you have a couple extra bucks lying around and you want to see the movie get made and get made really well, just donate. There's still a lot of, great perks left. You can still pick some episodes for us to cover. There's a few of those slots left. But yeah, basically that's it.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. Right. Well, thanks for that, Joseph. And just a little aside from me, I've got the 400th review coming up on Hysteria Lives. So I've on my Facebook page for Hysteria Lives, I've asked if anyone's got any suggestions of films they'd like to see covered. So I am going to choose one from the suggestion list. And
Blood Lake.
Yeah, you haven't covered Blood Lake.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Hey, you said you'd take suggestions, and you've told me.
Yeah, and I said I'd choose one, but I'm not choosing that. I'm sorry, I can't do it to myself. I really can't. But anyway, they might
Halloween remake.
No, I will take that suggestion, and I will shove it. But, no, I will take the suggestion, and I might consider it. Thank you, Erik. Is what I meant to say. So. Right. Okay. Well, I've got a little bit of feedback here. So if no one's got any objections, it says, "Hi guys, long time no talk. I have a bone to pick with you, Joseph. You viciously attacked Housebound on the last episode on a variety of points. One being that the lead actress was too old. Too old for what exactly? Did they ever mention her age? She was just released from prison, so she could be any age." Anyway, I found that an odd and unfair criticism of yet another quality horror entry from my homeland. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows yet? So, Joseph, do you want to answer? This is This is
well,
from,
I did
Rooney,
go back and listen to what I said. Basically, I did not say the character was too old. I said the actress playing the character appeared way too old to be playing a teenager. I know you're supposed to overlook stuff like that, especially in slasher films, but I did not make a remark about her age, the character's age. I just said the actress looked very old. Two, I don't think I viciously attacked it. From what I remember, I actually enjoyed the movie. I just didn't find it, overwhelmingly positives like, say, Nathan did. I think Erik hated it even more than I did. So
I wouldn't say I hated it. I was completely underwhelmed by it, I have to say.
See, I actually enjoyed most of it. So I mean, I didn't think it was great or anything, but it was a good one-time watch.
Okay, well, fair enough. And he also said, have we seen, or has anyone seen What We Do in the Shadows yet? Which I believe is the vampire comedy, isn't it, from the Flight of the Conchords people?
Yeah, I think that might be playing at the Chattanooga Film Festival.
It is. Yeah. I have tickets to go see it. I think it's the first weekend in April.
Yeah. It's supposed to be very good, isn't it? I've heard very good things about it. I heard it was
great.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Andrew, nobody's seen it yet, but we will be seeing it shortly, hopefully. And he also goes on to say, I'm glad to hear the mixed reviews of Friday 7. I can never get into that entry. It doesn't feel or look like a Friday the 13th film. However, there is worse to come. Friday 8 and 9 are diabolically awful. 8 has some deliciously stupid ideas. I'm looking forward to this instalment. Since when can Jason read nautical maps and navigate a ship from Connecticut to Manhattan? The final boy-girl combo are dull as dishwater. Mind-bogglingly bad film. I'm sure Nathan will love it. He goes on to say, Erik, I listened to your episodes on Meep Show. Do the Hysteria Kinews guys know you've been cheating on them?
They do, yeah. But
yeah,
I haven't done a Meep podcast for ages. Oh, whoa!
That's what you get for cheating on us, Erik.
Oh.
And then he says, finally,
you whore.
Pardon?
Well, Justin was on Giallo Chow Chow.
Yeah,
and Scream. Were you on Scream Queens as well?
No, I was outside the cinema. Once.
All right, there you go. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I've got about a bit. So, pardon?
Slut.
Oh, Erik, you are naughty.
You whore.
Oh, Erik, where's? I don't know if I still got that sound clip. If people can remember it from last time. Here, where is that gone? Oh no, it's this one.
You whore. There you go.
So there you go. Anyway, let's crack on because we've got lots to get done today. So finally, I checked out the Town That Dreaded Sundown remake and was so impressed. Also watched Girl House. Funnily enough, not as good, but still fun and effective in parts. What are some of your recent slasher faves? Well, I think we've kind of covered both of those films earlier, didn't we, really? So is there anything else new that you wanted to chuck into the pot?
I think so. Covered that and recently seen, so just...
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, thank you. That's from, says, take care, guys, Andrew Rooney. So always good to hear from you, Andrew. So thanks for writing in.
Okay. Yep, I've got one here from Jordan Nash from New Orleans. And Jordan says, scrolling up to the top, hello, folks. I'm just dropping a line to say hello and let you know how much I've been enjoying the podcast. While I've been a reader of Hysteria Lives for a few years, picked up Teenage Wasteland as soon as it was released in the States under its fairly generic American title, I'm sorry to say, and enjoyed Justin's appearances on the second volume of Video Nasties, the definitive guide, I've only recently become a listener of the podcast. I must say that I really dig what you guys do. I tend to feel that too often fans and critics err too much on one side or the other, either too dry and academic in their appraisals of exploitation flicks or too much juvenile and puerile horseshit. Either they try too hard to be taken seriously and come off boring, or they try too hard to be funny and come off as mean-spirited morons who only care about seeing, quote, the most fucked up and extreme shit ever, bro. However, you guys maintain a perfect balance between the two extremes. Well-researched, respectful and intelligent commentary on movies that have never gotten a lot of critical respect, yet you all stay silly and funny and don't take yourselves too terribly seriously. And none of you seem to have a mean-spirited sense of humour, which in my experience is all too common within horror fandom. While I'm a huge fan of the writings of Kim Newman and Tim Lucas, they often come up as a little uptight. Instead, I'd liken you guys to Stephen Thrower. Shwing! In my opinion, the absolute best of the horror fan stroke critics. I wish he'd stroke me. Sorry.
Erik.
Sorry. Intelligent commentary, yet still showing a genuine love, joy, and respect for movies that are usually dismissed as trash. An extra shout out to Nathan on that point. While I can't say that I care much for a lot of your picks, nor do your fellow podcasters, it seems, I think that it's pretty rad that somebody loves these bastard children. Keep loving what you love, brother. Somebody has to. Who cares if you're the only one who does? I find it confusing that you guys have gotten a decent amount of negative feedback for your audio commentaries for Vinegar Syndrome, while the only one I've heard is the Night Train to Terror one. My pre-ordered copy of Don't Go in the Woods should arrive in the mail tomorrow. I found it to be very well researched and thoughtful. Yes, there's some joking around, but it's never disrespectful or mean-spirited. Can't please everyone, I suppose. I must also mention that listening to your podcast has given me a newfound interest in the slasher genre. While I grew up a child of the 70s and 80s as a regular reader of Fangoria and the late great Chaz Ballin's Deep Red, I was never much of a fan of the slasher subgenre. I was way more into Romero, Cronenberg, Fulci, etc. I always found slasher flicks to be too formulaic. Since I started listening to you guys, I've stocked up on all of the slasher Blu-rays I can get my hands on. Seriously, you should get kickbacks from Shout Factory, Blue Underground, Vinegar Syndrome, and Arrow. Yay, region-free Blu-ray player. I've given all of those cats a lot of money after listening to you guys cover films they've released. I have to say now that the formulaic nature of slasher films is the most fascinating part. Seeing what filmmakers do with formula and how they diverge from it is really cool. I've recently found myself spending a decent amount of money because of you lot. I just made a contribution to Gory Graduation for good measure. Anyway, I've rambled far too long when I should be working. I need to get back to liquor invoices. That's LIQUOR, not LICKHER, and such, since I'm currently in my office at the bar I run. That said, if any of you happen to make it to New Orleans someday, a difficult prospect for the English or Irish among you perhaps, come to the Erin Rose in the French Quarter and your drinks are on me. So keep up the good work and I'll keep enjoying it. Cheers. Jordan Nash from New Orleans.
I'm booking my ticket now.
Yes.
Just a quick little aside. I have a package here from Vinegar Syndrome. It says, please send to Jordan.
Oh, Joseph. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to get kickbacks from Scream Factory, Blue Underground, and Arrow, as well as, you know, obviously we get kickbacks from Vinegar Syndrome for doing the commentary tracks for them. But
yes, yeah,
imagine,
it would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, all the money we're getting. I mean, they just bought my new house, so
yeah. I like the fact that we're compared to Stephen Thrower as well.
I bet you do. Oh, Erik. But thank you, Jordan. That was it's nice to hear from you. And if we ever do make it out to New Orleans, then yes. But you be careful about offering free drinks because you don't know how much Erik can put away.
Well, hang on.
What?
Justin Glug Glug Kurzweil.
Erik, you're casting aspersions.
How many times have you woken up in a ditch in the last week? Probably about 4. I've not woken up in a ditch once.
8, because I fell in and got back out again twice. So anyway, see what I'd go through to do the podcast. You know, the lengths we go to bring a show out to you every 2 weeks.
Yes.
So, well, is that anything else? Any other bits of feedback?
Nope.
No, well, we've almost made it to the 2-hour mark, so I was a little bit dubious that we'd be able to do that. But Johnny, thank you for joining us. Where can people listen to you?
Oh, thank you all. My show is Kruger Nation. It's at KrugerNation.com. It's available on iTunes, and I've heard on Stitcher. I didn't put it on there, but it's supposed to be on there. So if you need to contact me, JohnnyKrug@gmail.com, and on Twitter and Facebook, I'm Johnny Krug.
Excellent, and please do, because Johnny always puts out a good show. So always a pleasure to have you, Johnny.
It's my favorite podcast, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And this is how you can contact the show if you'd like to give some feedback on this episode. And have any of you put yourself through a double bill of Terror at Tenkiller and Blood Lake? If you want to cry down the line to us or you know, tell us your worst fears, then you can do this way.
Be sure to search for and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at THC_podcast. Our voicemail is 858-233-9281, and you can email us directly at the.hysteria.continues@gmail.com.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us, and we next time, this is episode 98, so we're up to 99, and then we're up to the big 100, which we're going to have a special show for you for the big 100, but considering we've gone for Nathan's pick this time, I thought we'd go for something completely different.
So ones that are actually watchable.
Well, yes, there is that. We haven't covered much of the nouveau slashers, the post-Scream slashers. So I thought what we might go for, and I haven't decided yet. It's either going to be a single or a double bill, and it's going to be I Know What You Did Last Summer and maybe I Still Know What You Did Last Summer coming up, because I thought it was about time we tackled those. So it's going to be complete polar opposite of Nathan's choices, with the charms that they have, notwithstanding. But we're going for slick teen 90s slasher, sort of post-Scream slasher movies coming up. So it'll be interesting to chat about those and about the that whole time and the post-Scream movies. So is that the kind of thing you guys would like talking about?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well, there you go.
Oh, I would definitely enjoy talking about it. I just don't know which one will be more fun.
Well, there you go. So, okay, well, see you next time. And again, thanks for Johnny coming on the show. And we'll see you when we go get a big hook for next time. Or whatever. I don't know what that means. But anyway, say goodbye to the good people.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. And what are we playing out with?
Serious problems.
What are we playing out with, Joseph?
You know what? I think it's just outro music for either Blood Lake or Tenkiller. I really don't remember.
Okay. Well, as you can see,
the heavy metal intro to Blood Lake.
Yes, I believe that's it.
Okay.
Yes.
As you can see, the pain never ends in Nathan's House of Pain. So until next time, goodbye.
It's kind of a long one, so... How dare you all laugh at that? We had poker night last night. We played.
Did she enjoy it? We heard you going bloop.
Justin was like, "Yeah, but not in my eye."
So I've got to grasp my big blue one really hard because the end keeps falling out.
I would imagine Tony's probably living in the back of a Pinto right about now.